Right. Evening, everyone. Let me be all professional and greet everyone again so that it's on the recording so that people can think I have humanity and compassion. I think the reality is it's very simple to recognize what it is. It's the Blue Ocean Strategy, and we're starting with that tonight. And I think I did check the previous recording that we want to do that tonight. So the Blue Ocean Strategy, some of the stuff that we had discussed, obviously for the assignment, I will be going through fairly quickly. I don't want to be stuck on things that we already have covered in detail. And I know that we've covered blue ocean and red ocean strategies in detail. But I think the reality is that blue ocean strategies are still the ideal. I think we are constantly observing people who come up with new innovations, who disrupt industries, who create new industries. And it allows you to arrive in a place where you are there first, where you are the Google of a particular industry, where your name will go into the Oxford Dictionary to represent the kind of things that happen in the industry. Google, Hoover, two examples. People go to Bing and they Google for information. People use any vacuum cleaner, and old and I suppose people who would even be my parents' age would have spoken about hoovering instead of just vacuuming. When you go into a red ocean type scenario, the simple truth is you are in a feeding frenzy. And the kinds of strategies that you adopt would have to be very, very different to going into a blue ocean. When you go into a blue ocean scenario, you are a pathfinder. You are the first organization to get there, and you set the standards, you set the terminology, you create the best practices that other people can follow. When you go into a feeding frenzy, it is about making sure that you're, yeah, I see that, Gaston. It's very interesting. And yeah, and what I also find interesting is Sheen and Timo at each other's throats, but they're ignoring Wish and they're ignoring Alibaba, which is interesting. Having said that, obviously Sheen and Timo are the main players at the moment, but I did see that, and it's almost part of being in this red ocean. You have to love it. In the traditional ways, we'd have tried to outmarket each other. Now we outcourt each other in terms of those industries. It's an interesting shift in terms of where the world is. And court in China, my gosh, it must be an interesting process to observe. Right. So when we look at innovation opportunities, I think the reality, in order to understand innovation, you have to almost get a sense of the theories that have gone before. We'll also talk about the notion of disruptive innovation, innovations that render previous industries completely obsolete. We've used Google and the number of industries that it has written off. And then I think to try and deal with disruptive innovation, because disruptive innovation often happens and happens in such a way that they're done by small organizations. Large organizations often don't survive disruptors. So Apple and its first standalone machine nearly destroyed IBM. And you can see what Google has destroyed. Large organizations often don't deal well with disruption. So it's often these small startups that are the major disruptors. I mean, think of Uber and how it's messed with taxi industries globally. Airbnb, the same thing, Gaston, absolutely. Really, really just upset the apple cart. We are going to look at some of these theories. So, long wave theory, creative destruction, love the term creative destruction, and we'll talk about that. S curve, dominant design, and then absorptive capacity as well. So the first one is the long wave theory of innovation. What it talks about is the fact that often, oh gosh, it gives me a chance to draw, guys, Oh, my art. I can do art again and sell them as NFTs and make so much money. I just need to open Paint. I'm beside myself with joy now. Um, oh, look at that. Yeah, a blank canvas allows the artist to. If I tell you how bad I am at art, I should actually stop talking right now. But the way Kondratiev works is that it argues that innovations happen in a cluster and often will spark some sort of economic recovery. And then we'll have another cluster of innovations and we'll have another economic recovery and go through decline in the end. But, and it's not perfectly drawn because obviously the decline has to be shown. It is an interesting theory because these clusters will create new industries, will create new environments, will create new opportunities. But as with everything else, they will also become stale and disappear at some point. So when we think of these clusters, think of the steam engine or think of the rolling production line. Think of what the creation of electricity would have done in terms of the clusters around there. And then, in terms of more recent terms, imagine the clusters that developed around smartphones. If we think of the advent of smartphones, copper wire, absolutely, boy. If we think of the advent of smartphones, what were the kinds of things that went hand in hand with smartphones? There was a cluster of developments. Yeah, so smartphone batteries. But what were the other bits and pieces that would form part of those clusters? And it's things you use on a daily basis. Screens, guys, if you think of what do you use on a daily basis, because a phone is worthless. It's astonishing. It is absolutely astonishing. Yeah, the use of data. But you are right, Katharina. If you think of what they created, it's insane. The ability to build what they did. Obviously, I'm thinking of apps, guys. If you think apps, if you think the app industry, I wonder how much the app industry must be worth at this stage. It is a cluster that created significant opportunity. If we go before that, imagine the first time somebody wrote digital code, wrote a series of ones and zeros and turned that into something that could actually create value. Imagine when Google was created and the internet was created. My apologies. Imagine when the internet was created, the cluster, you had that dot-com economy. So we see these kinds of inventions, and if you look at the different stages, it talks about the idea that these changes generally happen to be grouped together. Can I also just say, my 17-year-old wrote biology, I don't know, I think today, and they look at Kondratiev in terms of evolution. I'm looking at him if I've got it right. Is that right? Kondratiev's long wave? Is that where you looked at evolution?
I'm showing equilibrium.
Oh, no, sorry. It also shows that I know nothing about what my son does. So if we think of these changes, guys, what happens is you would have this group together of moments in time where you'll have significant industry develop around a particular invention. And often those disruptive innovations would cause those kind of moments. So, in terms of the long waves, you create a new industry. The dot-com generation will know about that, and you would have a recovery phase and a significant increase in obvious economic activity. Then you'll see people make money out of that. You remember the dot-com billionaires, and there are still some of them around. Then the recession phase. And remember when the dot-com society or the dot-com economy collapsed towards the end of the 80s, and then the depression phase. And then you start your next phase. And certainly Google has to fit in somewhere there. I think smartphones and smart devices. What is the current big disruptor in terms of creating the next wave? Oh, what am I doing? What is the one thing that's creating the next wave? What is the next? It's AI. Absolutely. Crypto, absolutely. Yeah, for me, it's AI. I think AI is going to dominate the way we do business for a very, very long time. We also know, guys, with the introduction of quantum computing, you will see a whole new industry spawned as a consequence of quantum computing. So these disruptions or these disruptors will often result in economic activity, but everything gets stale. Everything gets stale, and you get to the depression stage when the next phase will happen. So, in terms of the theory itself, I think it's the idea of changes in long wave cycles. And it is because of disruptive innovation, whether it is the moving production line, whether it's electricity, whether it is the first PC, whether it is the internet. You can clump those kinds of developments together in terms of creating, creating industries, guys. And then just your radical innovations. Yeah, these are the things that would disrupt and kill off previous industries and start the next wave of economic success. And it has an impact in terms of everything. Tell me how how technology has impacted those elements. And I want to focus on those. Sorry, it's the last sentence. How has technology impacted there? Okay, economics, we know. If you think of the use of and the arrival of the fourth industrial revolution, how is that it is automation, and how does that change our social systems? How does it change our social systems? Absolutely. Yeah, that's it. New skills. I always think also that the one group that has taken the biggest knock in terms of new technologies has always been the trade unions. Oh, absolutely, Gaston. Green babies. When you think of the trade unions, how many people here, although there are only 13 people attending, the rest of you, I'm going to take 25% off just because you're not here tonight. How many of you are a member of a trade union? I would imagine that none of you are. Is anyone a member of a trade union? Yeah. You see, trade unions face two issues. Your generation don't believe in collective power and the need for the collective to look after your interest. And then obviously technology has kicked trade unions because we've moved away from labor intensive processes to robotics and technology driven processes. Is anyone a member of a trade union? Because I know that some people have to be because of some sort of arrangement, agency shop or closed shop arrangement. Guys, it's not surprising. Okay, not that we had this technology available 30 years ago. Imagine I did this 30 years ago and this tech was available. How many people here would have been members of a trade union? Absolutely, absolutely. I can tell you guys back then when I did business school classes, and that's 30 years ago, the entire class would be a member of a trade union, and also often would have shop stewards attend. Obviously, they never passed. It's a joke. It's a joke. Right. So the next one that we can look at here, guys. Oh, sorry. In terms of education, look at how we do education right now, guys. You sitting, some of you might not even be in South Africa, and you're listening to some dreary old man in Pietermaritzburg and thinking, oh, dear goodness me, let the hour pass quickly. Guys, and then just you can see also corporate structures have gone fatter, industrial relations have gone sideways. I think everything has changed significantly. I mean, in terms of drone technology in the Midlands where I live, you cannot fly a drone. So until we have legislation that allows you to use drones to deliver, we can't do that here. If you think of driverless cars, yeah, no, well, I kept having babies. No, I finished late. I think that's the right term. I finished late. No, yeah, my wife and I don't know, somehow no, sure, no, ancient. I'm very scared of what I'm looking at her now. No, she's not. I've been married 37 years. No. Moving along, I shouldn't have asked my 17-year-old. No, I had babies late in life. No, my wife had babies late in life. Not young wife, no. I don't know why we're talking about this now. Okay, guys, in terms of the theory of creative destruction, love those two words. Absolutely love those two words. I'm not going to say a word because I'm being watched here. I'm not going to comment a single word. Guys, one of my favorite terms. What does that term suggest? What is that term? Yeah, yeah, passed me by, unfortunately. I'm not going to comment. I'm just going to lecture. Oh my goodness me. Okay, sorry guys. Um, Creative destruction, what does that term mean? What does it suggest? You lose industries. I mean, for me, it's a wonderful oxymoron because if you think of destruction, it really it is a negative term. It suggests something that is not positive. And then on the other side, it is the notion of something really positive, which is creative. So here we have that wonderful oxymoron where, on the one hand, we destroy and we create. And it's exactly that, Elton, 100% well done. I think creative destruction is where a lot of modern organizations live. I think people realize that the motto of innovate or evaporate is a very, very real reality for them. So, what they do is they're constantly trying to push the envelope, they're constantly looking to create something new. One of my honors students from, oh gosh, 5 years ago. He has his own business and he works in AI and things like that. And his next big move, and he believes the next big creative destruction will be. Oh, I asked you guys to complete those forms. Remember on the hologram advertising hologram advertising. I did put it on for you guys to complete. And he believes that's the next creative destruction. No, well, trade unions are a non-starter. Trade unions, a couple of years ago, one of my master's students did her dissertation on how trade unions need to reform themselves, and the belief is that they need to become social pressure groups where they put pressure on government, so they act almost as a pressure group looking after the interests of society. But it's not gone that way, unfortunately. So, in terms of creative destruction, the first thing is this industrial mutation. And it literally is that moment in time where we destroy an industry and we replace it with a new industry. Think of what was destroyed by Google. Well, that's the question that he's asking, Gaston. What did Google destroy? Which industries did Google destroy? Yellow pages. I had a TomTom, guys, MacBooks. I don't have my TomTom anymore, just to say. What did Spotify destroy? Yes, absolutely. I loved the library. I loved the smell of old books. Those are gone. CD. Musica, guys, think of what happened to Musica. I think Musica survived way longer than they should have. What are podcasts doing? Yeah, absolutely. Exactly, absolutely. And unfortunately, with podcasts, it's that idea. Yeah, digital cameras. Look at the camera in the phone. The idea of podcasts is that unfortunately, opinion becomes fact. Opinion becomes fact, and that becomes a real headache. So, in terms of creative destruction, I think we've seen it in the Industrial Revolution, the first Industrial Revolution, where we took people off farmland and we shoved them into factories. The fourth Industrial Revolution, which is about AI, computers interacting with computers, things that happen online, changes in terms of the work processes. And I think we still see that this creative destruction will go on. I, I think the one thing that you guys will see in your later life is you'll see that creative destruction would start looking at countering um, global warming or climate change. Yeah, technology S curve. I think when we look at changes in technology and who is in charge of industry, those go hand in hand. So whenever we have new technologies, the person who runs the industry is going to struggle. Think of what the standalone computer did with Apple to IBM. Prior to Apple, every computer had to be linked to a mainframe. In 1980 something, might be a little bit later than 88 or so, uh, Bill Gates said that every computer one day, every home would one day have a computer in it, would have a PC in it. And there was some American congressman that said we'll only ever need one computer in the world. The reality is it takes away the power that their mainframe had. Give me other examples, guys, of where industry changed hands, where the power in industry shifted. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. BBM was the killer. WhatsApp took over, and WhatsApp has survived for a long time. Yes, nice, Daniel. Very nice. Any other examples of where we've changed who the industry leaders are? Well, Elton, the truth is yeah, absolutely. Yeah, who knows, Katharina? Mr. Video, that's a wonderful example, Tunzi. Now the industry leader is something that you stream online. Katharina, have you ever jumped on a pogo stick? I think you can. No, but you get now champion pogo sticks, guys. Well, wars fought via laptop. Guys flying drones, sitting in a different on a different continent. Hold on a second. I just want to show Katerina what the latest pogo sticks look like. Um, hold on. This is the current pogo stick. It's only about 9 grand, Katerina. Yeah, it is 9 grand. What am I saying? About 9 grand. So this is now next level. So guys, can we all please club together so that we can get Katerina a new pogo stick? Um, that is the latest pogo stick. So when you think of what a pogo stick is, it's a little bit different. It's also a little bit bigger. Um, Solar panels to Eskom, absolutely, Gaston, 100%. I also think online stores to traditional brick and mortar stores. And just think of clothing, think of the stuff that you buy from Amazon. Online brick and mortar stores were the industry leaders. Every single one of them now has their own online element to it. Online stores took a, oh, sorry, brick and mortar stores took a big knock when online happened. Do we know what the next phase of that is? I don't know. I think we'll have another revolution at some point. So, in terms of these technologies, guys, I think every existing technology has what is called its its theoretical limit, technical potential. So, if we think of absolutely, absolutely. Um, Gaston, and it definitely is going to be what the future is. Yeah, no, I see that. I mean, and the fact that I saw the other day that on some quiz shows that in 2020, I think it was, Britain only used one, only got only 1% of coal fire contributed to the electricity requirements. I mean, we are miles behind the rest of the world. But remember, as Andre de Ruyter says, you can hide a lot of corruption in that carbon chain, and not much corruption can be hidden in terms of green energy. So if we think of technical potential, think of Kodak and the traditional spool film. The technical potential was reached. If we think of the current way in which processes on a laptop or on yeah, if we look at how current processors are configured in terms of PCs and laptops, those have almost reached their theoretical limit. The challenge for those processes, though, is that our software has become so resource intensive that at some point, the theoretical limit, sorry, the technical potential, sorry, I've learned it originally as a different term, the theoretical limit that we have in terms of our current configuration will not be able to cope with the resource requirements of future software. And then we have this inflection point, and obviously as quantum computing is the next big thing. And obviously quantum computers are massive, and we won't have quantum computers at home. But then again, someone said that in 1980 something, that you only need one laptop or one computer in the world. And then, in terms of organizations, one of the things that really successful organizations do is they know when that theoretical limit will happen. So, with cell phones, it reached its theoretical limit, and smartphones happen. Every technology has that theoretical limit, and something else has to take over. I think petrol engines has reached its theoretical limit, and this happened a long time ago with the EcoBoost engines and the TSI technology for Volkswagen. But I think those have also reached their theoretical limits. You're not going to make those vehicles more efficient, and that's why you need new technology. Guys, can you think of other technologies that in the past reached their theoretical limit and were replaced, or ones that are getting there now? What are NPUs, Elton? Elton, what are NPUs? Yeah, that's it. Obviously, yeah, we've got to that point. Any other technologies that have got to the theoretical limit? Guys, I think farming, in terms of farmland, a cassette ages ago, that's a nice one. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Gaston. But I also think that traditional farming methods have reached their theoretical maximum, where people have to look at vertical farming and other forms of farming. I really think that farming has reached its theoretical limit. I don't think any amount of technology will give us better yields in terms of farming. I mean, there are lots of these examples. The examples here, guys, so we get the inflection point where you get to your theoretical limit, and then you start introducing those successor technologies. Yeah, there are examples here. I don't like this one particularly, but it doesn't really matter. It's not stuff that we can identify with, to be honest with you. And that's from the textbook. Yeah, in terms of some of the dangers that go hand in hand with this S curve and disruptive innovation is this idea of technological myopia. Now, we've used these examples already a number of times. It is, and I apologize to do this, guys, but it is Nokia and their belief that the candy bar design phone with buttons will be the future when Apple was launching a touch screen. Back in the day, Nokia had 40% of the cell phone market. I don't even think they have 2.5% now. That was the biggest moment in it was the time where one producer had the biggest percentage ever. Apple and Samsung now hover around 20% each. And then we've seen the example already, Kodak. I think the truth is they believe that the future is going to be spool film, and it's not spool film. It changed. Can I also just say, and we saw those examples as well, Mr. Video, Blockbuster, and all that stuff. It's a technological myopia. I also think, what often happens is you get into what is called a success group, where you become so good at doing it that you don't think you need to change. So risky. Guys, and then just the idea of misreading market signals when you think that the market is leveling off because it's reached maturity, and you might need to think about upgrading your existing bits when in reality is new technology is arriving. Guys, and the culture trap. And the culture trap is where we become so good at doing business in a particular way, Nokia and building candy bar design phones, that you don't change when it is obvious that we will have touch screens very, very soon. Dominant design, yeah, dominant design is also an interesting one. What Suarez and Utterback talks about is that every single industry has certain standards that are givens, and if you're not in line with those standards, you are going to be taken out in terms of that industry. So it started off with, you can see these modern companies, and I mean, they're not very old. Obviously, Nokia and Sony are a lot older. So what happens is within this dominant design, we look at aligning our organizations, our competitors sometimes, in order to create economies of scale. So if you think of a dominant design, your USB Connect is a dominant design. Tell me where you use USB. Your USB Connect is a dominant design. I have a USB on my laptop, charges everywhere. I have a USB connected to my vehicle. It's 90, it's 100%. Now imagine, yeah, absolutely. Imagine you don't have USB in your devices. Yeah, Apple users, yeah, absolutely. So it's not always the best example. The other one is Bluetooth. Imagine having a device that is not Bluetooth enabled. Give me examples of where you use Bluetooth. Yeah, my wife says her hearing aids are Bluetooth. They're clearly working. Headsets, yeah. In the car, yeah, in the car. Watch car light. I mean, my goodness me. Yeah, your watch as well. It's astonishing what Bluetooth has given us. That is a dominant design, guys. They're wonderful examples of dominant designs. Can I also just say Blu-ray technology is a wonderful example of dominant design. Think of where we have Blu-ray. I mean, and I know Blu-ray in terms of the theoretical limit is getting there, and we can spend another day talking about it. But Blu-ray, I mean, every single bit of HD, full HD, 4K, all of that stuff is based around Blu-ray. every gaming device uses Blu-ray, although it's a Sony design. Okay, I didn't know that. Well, I really didn't know that. Okay, very cool. I'll have to read up on that a bit. Guys, sometimes companies get it right. So Sony with Blu-ray got it right. Sometimes they get it wrong. Very cool, Elton. Absolutely, 100%, Gaston. Yeah, we get these standards within industries, and if you don't have that standard, batteries are such a good example, actually. They're wonderful examples. So, lithium ion, I don't even know what has replaced lithium ion batteries, but there is obviously something that is better than lithium ion. So, in terms of dominant design, has nothing replaced it yet? Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm not that far behind everyone else. Oh my word, that is impressive. Hey, yeah, no, you're right, Gaston. Guys, can I just say, back in the day, and this is now when you see my age and why you should feel sorry for me. If we look at these things here, what is the bottom thing there? Oh gosh, you know that at some point I will show that and people won't know what those are, even the bottom one. VHS, well done, Althea. Well done. What are those, Katharina? So you remember that? VHSs, yeah. Okay. Yeah, put out the dial phone in the 1980s, wants it back. Can I just ask very quickly, does not know what that is? Be honest, because I will get to a yes, you have to. I think at some point I will show that and people no, you can't do a pencil on that. Those are old cassettes. But yeah, you had to rewind these. Guys, can I just see who has never seen those? Use your finger, oh, Tunzi. Yeah. Use a fork. Oh, dearie me. So everyone has seen these. Who has seen the top one, the little one? What is the little one at the top called? It's Betamax. Elton, yeah. Well done. Sony devised the Betamax at the same time VHS happened. The Betamax was more efficient, it was quieter, it could carry more content, but they didn't make it the industry standard. And it was considered one of Sony's biggest mistakes because they did not make it the industry standard. That became the industry standard. When they created Blu-ray, Hitachi created HD, and people were concerned that they would again be going down the wrong rabbit hole in terms of Blu-ray. But what they did cleverly is make the technology available to their competitors so that it would become the industry standard to avoid the fiasco that was their Betamax. Guys, so in terms of dominant design, there are a couple of things. The first one is around collateral assets. It's about brand image. So when we think of Blu-ray, when we think of USB, there's so many of those. Yeah, absolutely. You earn the royalties, you make it the standard. Guys, and then also government will then regulate what the standard becomes. Think of plugs in South Africa. And then also strategic actions when you get it wrong and when you get it right in terms of Blu-ray. And then bandwagon effects. So here we have BlackBerry Messenger services, things that are connected. Now we obviously have cloud technologies. Yeah. So, in terms of dominant design, how can you become the dominant designer? The first one is that you want to be able to use products in different places and different niches. Again, Blu-ray, again, USB, or again, the idea of Bluetooth and where we can use or where we are using those things. Oh my gosh. And then, yeah, constantly create technological innovations, but add value in a cumulative way. So when you think of USB, you plug it in your car, you plug it in your phone, you plug it into your TV, it has a cumulative effect. And then you say, if you want to play in this industry, you need these standards. Right. And then absorptive capacity. Just give me a second, guys. Right. I couldn't remember the lecture, guys, so we had to go and obviously I'm lying, guys. I'm a genius. This gives me another chance to draw, guys. So here is an opportunity for another NFT. Remember, I want royalties. Absorptive capacity is a wonderful, wonderful theory. I don't know if anyone has seen it before, but to explain absorptive capacity, you almost have to think of a brain, someone's brain, like an old style hard drive. Okay, now that's not perfectly round. Who remembers what the old style before the modern drives look like, the SSDs look like? Who remembers those silver discs that were in the old IDE drives? Anyone remember those? Obviously, never. Let me just share it. It looked like this, guys. It was that guy there. No, you're a little bit you're a little bit before my time. That disk there, that's where your information, where your data is saved. Oh my gosh, look at the price of this thing. Why? Surely that is data technology. Yeah, Gaston, it absolutely is a relic. So what I'm drawing is that silver disc there to explain absorptive capacity. Can I just say, I'm one of these sad creatures that actually has an A plus qualification in computers, but it's a 1998 version, so I can't remember anything. So ignore everything that I say about computers. So if we look at absorptive capacity, and if you think of your brain as a silver disk in a hard drive, every time you interact with people, things, events, you create a theory about those people, things, and events. And that theory is then saved on your hard drive. And that theory is often used to think about the world. It's a paradigm as well. If you think of paradigms, they live as theories on our brain. Can I just ask, the first time you guys were in class with me, what was the theory you created about me? Don't worry about being offensive. I don't care. What was your theory the first time you attended class? Oh, wonderful. You're my favorite student ever. Unfortunately, that's been proven very wrong. Oh, you guys are my favorite students. Yeah. I know I need to do this. Yeah, that's about right, guys. But some people have these theories because you have the first impressions. Can I check whose theory has changed about me? Is it still the same? Because one thing that often happens is oh, that's wonderful. People, I get the 0.5% of students. Yeah, baby, I like that, Annalena. who, 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 who put in complaints about me that I'm unprofessional. It doesn't happen often. So some people, their theory about me is that I'm unprofessional. I don't know about that. I think I'm exemplary when it comes to professionalism. But the reality is, every time we interact with people, things, and events, you create a theory. The problem with something like Nokia, with a company like Nokia, their theory about what makes a good phone was the candy bar design. What absorptive capacity does It allows you to take information in from the environment, compare it to your theory. And if you have the ability to absorb and understand it, it takes us to the next stage and it becomes adaptive capacity. So what they did is they took in the new information and they thought, nah, can't use it. Really successful companies would have had adaptive capacity as well. They would have changed their theories about the world. Guys, we have theories about everything. I can tell you now, some of you would have had a theory about maybe doing varsity college in terms of contact sessions because you believe contact sessions would be easier. Who had that theory initially? Annika, you're going to do really badly. Guys, who had the theory about online that it might not be worth it and it would be better to go online? It would be better to go contact. So all of you thought online was the ideal. Has anyone changed their theory about online? Online is better. I agree. I'm not very good in class, guys. I really am a bad attender. I'm wonderful in front of a class, but I really am not somebody who can attend class. So for me, this would be better because I really don't do well in class because I generally think the lecturer is an idiot. Yeah, sorry. Online is better. Wonderful, wonderful, Annika. I dig that. Okay, so in terms of absorptive capacity, I think initially absorptive capacity is the ability to take information. Yeah, absolutely. Is the ability to take information in from the environment and make sense of it. Adaptive capacity is the ability to change your theory about the environment. Companies who really don't do well don't have adaptive capacity. They tend do not change their views of the world. And that is sometimes a real headache. What also happens is that companies who become stale create path dependency. And over time, they do business in a particular way. So we know that the person who designed, the engineer that designed the digital camera actually worked for Kodak, and that's a real concern because Kodak was so path dependent in terms of doing business in a particular way that one of your engineers comes to you and says to you, "This is the future," and you think, "Nope, we've been doing business in this particular way. We hit a success groove, and we are not going to change." What happens when you become path dependent? Yeah, the first one, you stop learning. So it means that your absorptive capacity disappears, your adaptive capacity disappears. Then it's lockout. Lockout is when you have got to the point that technology has moved on so much that you cannot catch up again. Again, Nokia, 40%. Oh my gosh, Toyota is a wonderful example. And I like the idea of their hybrids and the recognition that we've reached the theoretical limit of petrol engines, guys. And then the competency trap. I think here you become so good at inferior processes and they might have worked for you in the past that you will not change. I mean, um, every single example we've used fits into that. And where did you see that in May? Did you go to the factory, Gaston? Oh, okay, yeah, no, I love James May. Absolutely love James May. And I'm sorry that I only use car examples, but I did my master's and my last bit of study in the auto industry. So just it's an industry that I'm quite comfortable in, I think. Right. So where are we? 23. I'm going to push. Guys, so in terms of value innovation and competitive advantage, Yeah, be very careful, and please NB this for me. Be very careful, guys, that this isn't an exam question. They love asking this. It's one of those obscure questions. Don't worry, we will definitely include it in our exam prep. Those of you that were with me in first semester, mind you, I did the NSS. Exam prep is exactly the same way. I'm pretty good at predicting what will be in an exam. I was pretty good last semester, and I'm hoping to be pretty good this semester as well. So it talks about successful organizations that do value innovation. What does the term value innovation suggest? Answer someone so I can finish my Rennie at least. It is about blue ocean. It's about innovation based on money. I'm absolutely impressed how Toyota does that. Toyota will give you what you require, which is cutting edge, but will do it at value for money. The magic thing about value innovation is that you have the balance between value and innovation. Really successful value innovators would never give you anything that's gimmicky. They would never give you something that you would look at and think, really? Now that's gone a step too far. It's a gimmick. So these companies, there are a couple of guidelines for them. The first one, always trying to do something new, trying to do something different. It really is about making significant improvements in what we offer our customers. It is about really stepping out and trying to innovate where we have our customers go, wow, this is impressive. And often satisfying needs that customers didn't know they had as needs. The one rule is traditional organizations will track what their competitors do. Remember, we did this in first semester when we did competitive intelligence. The truth is, these guys don't care about the competitors because often through their actions, they'll render competition completely obsolete. And then they operate in blue ocean because they add so much value that they often will create new industries and again disrupt what had gone before. I love this term. They provide quantum leaps in value. So it is value, but so much better. It impresses so much more that customers who are loyal brand followers would go, my gosh, they've done it again. Oh yeah, Steve Jobs had wonderful quotes on a lot of stuff. Hey, on a lot of stuff, and I will talk about Steve Jobs in a couple of minutes if we get there tonight. So, in terms of value innovation and competitive advantage, the first one is that they don't care about industry assumptions. So, if we go back to our theory about absorptive capacity. When we have industry assumptions, every person has industry assumptions that they work within, and those theories exist on your brain. 20 years ago, the industry assumption was that if you are to sell clothes, you have a brick and mortar store, you have salespeople, and you have dressing rooms where people go and fit on clothes. The simple truth, Elton, it's astonishing. One of my colleagues in Westville, I lecture in Maritzburg and Westville, bought herself an Omoda. She kept her BMW 330i and bought a Moda. You must see the technology. She showed me the advert. It is insane. Some of the technology doesn't make sense to me. That is how impressive it is. The second one, in terms of industry assumptions, is that we don't care. We will move the rules of the game completely. Online clothing stores versus traditional clothing stores. Absolutely. I mean, and also, can I just say, I mean, think of the disruptions that he brought us in terms of bringing out Pixar. think of what Pixar gave us against traditional Walt Disney type movies. It is a significant difference. What Pixar gave us was the first Toy Story. I don't know who remembers Toy Story 1. Pixar was created by Steve Jobs, and Toy Story 1 was their first movie ever. It's okay. Okay. I can't remember. Oh, yes. Yeah, no, that was hell of a disturbing, man. Yeah, no, gosh, I had to see a therapist after that, to be honest with you. Can I just say, I've got classes now where people have not seen Toy Story, haven't seen, oh gosh, a lot of the kind of Toy Story type movies. Yeah, very crazy, boy, very crazy. Yeah, I have students who've not seen Shrek, who've not seen, yeah. I blame the parents. I blame the parents. Okay. Absolutely, Annika. Poor parenting, guys. Guys, in terms of strategic focus, I think in terms of traditional companies, they do their SWOT analysis. Yeah, no. No, I think people know those, but my students don't know, won't know that. My face, my full-time students. Traditional companies will do a SWOT where these guys don't care about their strengths and values. They will reinvent themselves completely in terms of creating value. And then, yeah, customers, I think often people will look at customer needs. I think these individuals create products that create needs. Guys, and then assets and capabilities, again, part of strengths and weaknesses. These kinds of companies will look beyond that and even completely re engineer their business. Absolutely. Apple does it really, really well, Elton. And then product and service offerings, it is the idea of the total chain. Think of what Apple gives you through cloud technology. Everything links to everything else. They give you your software, they give you so much. Think of what Android does. It just is a wonderful way of creating that total chain of value. Okay, guys, I think it is 12:30, 8:30, and I don't want people to